of bloke you can imagine, but in many other ways he is virtually superhuman.
Subnormal.
Well, Celine Dion and U2, that's normal enough.
Well, I'd be very interested to see what we get as a time at 30 kilometres, because we're looking at something around about 1:28.5. So we've got about 7 minutes to go to reach that 30-kilometre mark, and then we'll really know what sort of pace we're on here. But of course, the point we were making a little earlier, that those pacemakers soon will not be there, and I'd be very interested to see what tactics Haile Gebrselassie uses in the latter stages, and how, of course, the two fellas that have followed him all the way, Kamathi and Kwambai, how they will respond too, because both of them look still full of running. They really do, and despite the fact that they're running faster than they've ever run before by a long, long way.
You know, Stuart, you and I have commentated over a few marathons over the years. I'm not sure I can remember a marathon race where there has been almost constant support along the route for an athlete. The noise and the celebration of the passing of these athletes throughout the streets of Berlin is unprecedented, in my opinion. We know that there are over 70 bands along the side of the course. That was the number that came in a couple of weeks ago, apparently, and more have signed up since then. But look at that scene. The crowds have poured out onto the streets. The wonderful thing, of course, for Berliners is that they can be watching this on TV in their front rooms and then step out onto the road, move to the side of the road as long as they're reasonably near the course, see the athletes go by, and then head back into their living room to catch it on TV again.
Now look at, you just caught a glimpse there of the cyclist who was really heavy. Look at him on the left. They're really shifting, those cyclists. They're having to do 13 miles an hour or thereabouts to keep up with the athletes.
Well, 30k is what, about just checking, probably about 5 minutes away. Now the pacemakers. To get pacemakers of this standard to carry you through to the 30-kilometre point is no cheap business, believe me, because remember that these pacemakers could have run the race today and probably finished in the top 5 or 6 themselves. Instead, they've sacrificed that result for a payday as a man who is assisting somebody else, and that indeed takes a change of mentality from being a racer to being somebody who's very giving. It's not easy to do when you're talking about an individual sport like this, which traditionally, of course, is very selfish. You train and you put in the hundreds of miles of training every month for yourself. You look after number one. But to actually do that in training and know that you're going to be assisting somebody else is quite a different mindset.
I have to once again comment on the point you were making. This crowd is probably the biggest I've ever seen, and as you rightly say, the actual design of this course through the city actually lends itself to crowds easily coming onto the roadsides and looking. I think they're down the Reibenbaben alley and into Rosenneckplatz and beyond, and then they'll be approaching 30 kilometres.
Well, Stuart, here is F3, that's Helena Kiprop, just beginning to drop away from the leader, and that, of course, is Askala Tafa Magasa of Ethiopia in the red vest up in front there in the blue shorts. You can see how awkward her running style is, and I mentioned it earlier, it's emphasised by those white socks picking out her feet. It looks very, very awkward from behind, but that matters not a jot when you maintain it for 2 hours and more and are able to put away a world-class field like she's doing here. She's looking very strong still. Certainly Kiprop is dropping back at 25 kilometres, 1:22.50. That 1 second gap has grown, no doubt about that.
Yeah, 1:22.50 is back to, now we're round about 2:19, just inside 2:20, 2 hours 20 for the lead runner now for Tafa. So the pace has dropped off just a little bit, and I'm not surprised because it really was quick. They were inside 2:19 for a long, long time, and now they're still inside 2:20, which is particularly quick too.
I wonder too, Stuart, when she comes into the latter stages and she starts getting information. She's having a chat there with her pacemaker and a little smile because the hard work she's put in over the last almost hour and a half has at last paid dividends. At last she's been able to shake off this athlete Kiprop, who's run so bravely, so strongly, and it's going to be tough for Kiprop here. And this is a controversial situation, because now the real racing has started. Kiprop hasn't got a pacemaker, and Tuffer has. And make up your own mind. Do you think that's fair, that the racing is now starting proper, and Tuffer out in front there has got help through this very difficult third quarter of the race?
Yes, that is a good point you make, and it's often been made when you have mixed races of this kind. And you know, sometimes they will catch up with a pacemaker, or a pacemaker will catch up, and there may be one. I don't think he's interested in pacing, though. He's gone straight past, isn't he? But she is in absolute forgive the terminology, but no man's land, certainly. And I think that that's pretty tough. Mikitenko is now closing down. Now then, that's interesting, isn't it? Because there's not a big gap now between second and third.
Well, more importantly, between third and first, because certainly Tuffer is only, what, about 70 or 80 metres up the road, and Mikitenko running a usual perfectly judged race here, moving through all the time. I bet you when we digest her, or rather take apart her splits after the race, we'll find that she's run a far more steady tempo. The Mikitenko, the German record holder, the London champion, an athlete who may well be the World Marathon Majors champion for the 2007-2008 series. And at the moment, she's got that short, pitter-patter little stride. It couldn't be more different to that of Tuffer. If we get a chance to see them running side by side, now I've got a sneaking feeling we will in not too many minutes' time. It'll be a fascinating contrast, because there's very little knee lift from Mikitenko. It's a very economical, fast, busy little style she's got, compared with Tuffer, who lopes along in what looks an incredibly uncomfortably manner.
Yes, I agree with you there. She's got a very big stride length compared with Mikitenko.